Wildcat Chronicles. We're your hosts, Alyssa Stack
and Ericka, and we created this show to interview students and Wilmington High School staff to gain more information about the senior exploration and the impact this experience has on students in the Wilmington community.
Senior exploration is offered to graduating seniors for about 4 to 5 weeks during their last quarter of high school. Students get the option of choosing a project or internship that has to be approved by administration first. The projects or internships have to replace a school day and need to be 30 hours a week, depending on if you take AP classes or not.
Our second episode will be dedicated to the projects, and our first guest is Aaliyah Bukal. Aaliyah, would you like to introduce yourself?
My name's Ali. I'm a senior, currently doing a project.
What are you doing for your project, and what are some things you're doing for your project?
All right, so I'm shooting a documentary, and it's about Wilmington, like the history of Wilmington sports. So like originally we were just gonna do like something with like all kids from who go to school now, but that would be like kind of way too easy. And I mean, realistically, there's not anyone. I mean, there are some people now who've like broken records and stuff, but or like won championships, but like no one now has like done stuff that like there's like a banner for, pretty much, except like the track kids. But so basically we wanted to like throw back a little bit because that's way cooler. So we basically reached out to a bunch of people, and we're doing like the history of Wilmington sports and like where they are now and like what Wilmington sports meant to them and stuff like that.
Awesome. Why did you choose to do a project instead of an internship?
So originally I wanted to do an internship because like from the get-go, I wanted to do something with like recording like movies and stuff like that, or like anything that had to do with like digital media. But I reached out to a bunch of internships and none of them got back to me. Like nobody emailed me back, nobody answered a phone call. So I just decided, all right, like maybe I just won't do anything in digital media. And then I went to work one day and someone was like, all right, like why don't you just shoot your own thing? And I was like, all right, like that makes sense. So then I decided to make a documentary, and I asked any of my friends if they wanted to join, and they're like, yeah, that sounds sick.
What were some of the places you reached out to try to get an internship?
I don't know the names, but from the top of my head, but it wasn't anything like town media, like WCTV. It wasn't anything like that. Like I didn't go to like Tewksbury and ask them to like do like work with them. I was trying to do like places where they would like bring in and they like all like the green screen stuff and like the stuff that move. There was a few in Boston where I could have just took the train in. It would have been like a 10-minute walk. And there's one place in Wakefield, I think. But yeah.
And what has been your favorite part of your project so far?
I'm kind of like just like doing the research on everybody, because it's like there's people that like you just see their names. Like if you just like walk through the trophy case, there's like those pictures and then like the trophy next to them, and like you just see their names, but like you don't actually know what they've done. So like this guy Jim Stewart, like we interviewed him yesterday, but like you walk by, like he was probably the most disgusting guy at sports I've ever seen in my life. Like he threw like a no-hitter against against Tewksbury to win the NBC. Like he made it to the state championship in football as a quarterback. He was a junior captain on his basketball team. So like just kind of like getting to know everyone who played the sports before you is kind of the coolest part.
What are you hoping to get out of this experience?
So when I get to college, I want a minor in communications and media arts. So just starting off with this documentary is kind of a way that I can get some experience before I start doing that stuff in college.
And do you think you're making an impact by doing this project?
Yeah, it was kind of something that we hoped would bring kids back to Wilmington instead of like going to private schools, because that's like the big thing now. Like back then, because just like listening to the stories of people who used to play, because back then nobody used to go to private schools, so it was kind of like if you're from Wilmington, you're gonna play at Wilmington. Like people didn't go to the Tech either. Like, and like all the stories that you hear from these people is just like their teams were so good because they've been playing together since they were 5-6 years old. So like that's kind of hope that we get back from this is like our Pop Warner teams are good, like, or like our Little League baseball teams are good. Like, if you guys stay together, like, they'll be good in the future when they get to high school.
Perfect. We already kind of talked about this, but is this a career you would intend to pursue in college? And if you know, what college will you be attending?
I don't know what college I'm going to yet, and it's not my main career that I want to go into, but it is definitely the thing that I'm most interested in. So if the job came around, I'd go for it.
What was the process of figuring out your project, getting it approved, and starting to work on it for you?
So originally, like I said earlier, we just like decided that the documentary would be better if it was a project, and because nobody answered me. But so we just started off. We talked to Mr. Staffier about it. Well, originally we talked to Mr. Ingram about it. He thought it would be a great idea. He said like we can do this with it, and we'll put it on if it's like good. Like we'll put it on like the main Wilmington page, like when you open it. And I was like, all right, so that's like how we would get exposure to it. So then we talked to Mr. Staffier. He thought it was a great idea, but he didn't really see how it would, because the whole point of like this is how, if you do a project, how will it affect other generations or blah, 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 whatever. And so that was kind of like the main thing that we had to really think about. But obviously, yeah, like I said, how we did that. And then, so then we just had to start reaching out to people. And at first, like reaching out to people was really easy. Like everyone answered, and it was really easy to get back to people. But then once everyone answered, and then we were trying to get more people, because a lot of people started to say no, or just didn't answer at all. So we had to do so we just stuck with the people that we have now, but we definitely still have to do some more reaching out to people.
Perfect. If a junior at Wilmington High School asked for your advice about the senior exploration, what would you tell them?
I'd tell them to do something fun. Like, don't do something that you just don't find interesting at all, because you're going to spend, what is it, like 5 weeks, 30 hours doing something that you just, like, dread. Like, you're going to have a miserable time doing it. You're not going to complete the stuff that you're supposed to do. As if, like, you do something that you like and have fun doing, like, you're going to wake up in the morning and be like, all right, like, let's go.
And are you working with anyone on this project?
Yeah, I'm working with Andrew Maela, Tiago Gomez, and Charlie Rosa.
Perfect. And what do you think the benefits are of partaking in a senior exploration for students in their last quarter of their senior year?
I think it's important because, like, once you're, like, a senior and it's coming, like, the end of the school year, like, you're not really doing anything anymore because, like, you're already into college. And whether it's, like, you just have no motivation to do anything or you're not doing anything, like, getting out to an internship or a project, you're actually going to start doing stuff. Like, the end of our senior year, like, I really had no motivation to do anything. So, like, I was just kind of doing whatever. But now that we're out on this project and documentary, like, I'm doing something that I want to do in my life. So it's miles more important than just sitting in, like other schools don't do this. So it's, like, way more important that we're doing this now than, like, seniors at, like, Stoneham or Tewksbury or Wakefield are just sitting in class, just, like, doing nothing. Like,
I agree. Can you, in your own words, describe the senior exploration and what it means to you?
I think it's just, like, the big word I'd put behind it is, like, experience. Because, like, say you go into college and let's say you're going to be a nurse. Like, if you already have more experience than the person sitting to your right, you're already at an advantage. So that's why I think it's, like, the experience part of it is the most important thing, because it's just setting you up before college sets you up to succeed.
Great. All right, now to move on from senior exploration questions, we have some fun questions for you. So what do you think you'll miss most about high school?
I think it's just, like, I think it's the kids that you're not, like, they're not in your friend group, so, like, you're not sure if you're gonna, like, study talking to them. I think those are the kids that I'm gonna miss the most.
And as we know, Munchies is a huge part of Wilmington High School. What is your usual Munchies order?
I'll get 2 cookies and a water.
That's it?
Yes.
Great. And what are some other activities you take part in at WHS?
Football and lacrosse. Those are my 2 things.
Which one do you think you're going to miss the most?
Definitely football, because lacrosse is just, I only played it just to do something in the spring, but football, like, I've always been in love with since I was like a little kid.
So you were the captain of the football team. How do you think you're gonna, do you think you're gonna come back and watch the younger kids that you mentored in the coming years?
Yeah, 100%. Me and Charlie Rooney already have a plan to come back in 2030 and apply for the coaching job.
Perfect.
So we're gonna lead. I'll be back in the next few years to like just, if I'm ever in home, I'll just like come like just watch. But yeah, me and Chuck are gonna lead Wilmington to a state championship in 2030. Perfect.
Are there any teachers that you want to give credit to, or just say thank you for helping you during your high school journey?
Yeah. In middle school, I want to shout out PT and Miss Tarantino. A lot of other teachers, but those are my big 2. High school, Miss Gillis, Durham, shout out Durham. Miss Fiance for letting me do nothing. No, I'm just kidding. I did a lot of work in this class. Yeah, I think. Miss Carabello. I feel like I don't want to miss anybody, but yeah. Miss Welch, sure, at my college essay.
Perfect.
And are there any influences in your life that have helped you get to this point or throughout high school?
I'd say my mom. My mom was a big inspiration. So she basically she keeps me in check and motivates me to do what I want to do.
Perfect.
Thank you so much for being part of our show and sharing your experience with us.
Thank you.
We wish you the best with the rest of your project and next year.
For our second guest, we have Hannah Bryson. Hannah, if you would like to introduce yourself.
I'm Hannah Bryson. What else do I say? I'm a senior at Wilmington High School.
Perfect.
Okay.
And what are you doing for your project, and what are some things that you have to do for it?
So for my project, I'm writing a novel about my experience being the first girl on the Wilmington High School wrestling team. So my goal was to write about 2,000 words a day. So over the course of the month, I'd reach above novel length, which is 50,000 words. I'm a little behind my goal right now because of AP classes, but I'm hoping I can up my word count once tests are over so I can kind of get there by the end.
Great.
That's awesome. Why did you decide to do a project instead of an internship?
Well, I didn't have a lot of time on my hands due to AP classes, so it would have been difficult to get to an internship. And I thought the project would be good for me because all I really want to do is write.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, this is a good way to get myself to write every day.
Perfect. And what do you think has been the favorite part of your project so far?
I think the best part of my project has just been being able to spend my free time writing, because in the future that's what I want to be, a novelist.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a good way to practice getting used to that kind of schedule.
And what are you hoping to get out of this experience?
I guess I'm hoping to get a novel that people can read and a way to reflect on the amazing experience that I've had at Wilmington High School.
Awesome. And do you think you're making an impact by doing this project?
I would hope so. I hope that someday I'll be able to get this book out in the world and people will read it and they'll see what I've accomplished and will kind of my hope is that I can show other girls that they're capable of more than they thought they were capable of.
That's awesome. And you also already talked about this a little bit, but is this a career you intend to pursue in college? And if you know, what college will you be attending?
Yes, definitely. I'm attending Boston University. I'm studying English. I want to write full time, really, but I'm also looking into a career as a professor of English literature.
Great. And how was your experience selecting a college? What factors went into picking Boston University?
So My mom works at BU, so that was a big factor of it. So it was like if I was going to go to like a Boston area college, I was going to go to BU. I looked at some schools for wrestling, but they didn't really like match up with what I want academically, and they were really far away. So BU was really the best option for me.
Perfect. Are you enrolled in any AP classes? If so, what classes, and how are you managing your classes in your project?
Yes, I'm taking AP Government, AP Statistics, and AP Literature. And I think that the like trying to balance AP classes on top of my project has been really difficult, because I was kind of hoping that like I'd have those free periods that were I used to have like other classes and I could spend all my time just writing. But then I realized I was also going to have work for my AP classes on top of that. And so it's been hard to get the work done and also work on my project. But
And what do you think like the end goal for your book is? Do you want to get it published, or where do you think this is going to go?
I would love to get it published someday. I don't know if that's going to happen like anytime soon, but I mean, obviously like, I'll share it with like the administration and like my coaches so that they can read it. And then someday I'll work on getting it out into the world.
That's awesome. What was the process of figuring out your project, getting it approved, and starting to work on it for you?
Really wasn't that difficult. Like, I wrote up like the proposal and then I submitted it, and they were like, "You're good. We love the idea." And then I just started writing.
So I know you from elementary school, and I know you've always loved to write. Like, what inspires you to write, and like your stories and everything?
I mean, I really don't know what inspires me, because I guess I've always wanted to write. I feel like I've always had like so many ideas in my head, and the only thing I can like think to do is like write about them. So I've written 5 novels, like mostly historical fiction. So this is kind of like my first one that's like biographical, which is kind of strange and very like not the same like technique that I used to write other books, but I'm getting used to it.
I love it.
That's great.
If a junior at Wilmington High School asked you for advice about your senior exploration, what would you tell them?
I guess I'd just tell them to do something that like they're passionate about and something that they want to wake up every day and do. Because I think it would be really difficult to be trying to balance a project on top of classes and stuff if it wasn't something that I was really passionate about.
Perfect. And what do you think the benefits are of partaking in a senior exploration for students in their last quarter of their senior year?
I think it's really beneficial because it allows them to kind of like look into the things that they're interested in and see if it's like something that they'd be capable of doing like full time, all the time. Yeah.
Perfect. Can you in your own words explain what the senior exploration is and what it means to you?
So senior exploration is kind of like a period of time where instead of like going to classes at school, students are able to like partake in their own like internship or project about something that they think they would be interested, like something that they think would either like make an impact or something that they'd be interested in doing as like a career in the future, so that they can kind of get a sense of if that's something that they really want to pursue. Like maybe I was like, I want to major in English in college, and then I did this project, and I was like, you know what? I really don't think writing all the time is, like, the right thing for me, and then maybe I'd get a better sense of, like, what I do want to do.
Great. It sounds like you're getting a lot of good experience. Now, to move on from the senior exploration questions, we have some fun questions for you.
Oh, okay.
So first up, what do you think you'll miss most about high school?
I really think that I'll miss athletics the most. I think all my friends are really from, like, track and wrestling. So I'll miss, like, going to practice every day after school and seeing them and being able to do something that, like, I love and makes, like, waking up every day so worth it.
As we know, Munchies is a huge part of Wilmington High School students' days. What was your usual Munchies order?
I actually never went to Munchies. I still have $14 left in my school account from the beginning of the school year. Or from the beginning of freshman year, because I've actually never gotten anything.
Oh, that breaks my heart.
I know, I'm sorry. I still have like a week left. I'll have to try it out.
At least try a cookie.
Yeah. Okay.
And you already touched upon this a little bit, but what were some other activities you were a part of at Wilmington High School? Clubs, sports, anything?
Well, I do cross country, wrestling, and then spring track. And then I'm the president of the book club, which doesn't have that many members, but we enjoy reading and talking about what we read. And yeah, that's about it.
Lovely.
Which one do you think you'll miss the most once you get out of high school?
Which activity?
Yes.
I think wrestling for sure, because I feel like it's not like that kind of like the success that I had and like the team, like you really can't recreate that kind of atmosphere with anything else. Like I feel like with track, I can still find people to run with and I can still build relationships that way, but I'm never gonna like be able to like compete and wrestle in high school ever again.
Awesome. Are there any teachers that you want to give credit to or just say thank you for helping you through your high school journey?
I think definitely Miss Desberg. She's not at the high school anymore, but I had her for 2 classes freshman year. And then she worked with me a lot sophomore year because I did National Novel Writing Month. So I would go to her room like pretty much every day and I would sit and write with her. And she's been such like a huge part of my success.
Perfect.
And were there any influences in your life that helped you or supported you throughout high school?
I guess, well, my parents, of course. And then I guess my martial arts teacher, John Johnston. I spent like a lot of time at Ironclad Martial Arts doing like Krav Maga and teaching and jiu-jitsu. And I think that like that experience really helped me like with like building relationships and like my confidence. And if not for that, like I don't think I ever would have done wrestling, which was such a huge part of my high school career.
Perfect.
Thank you so much for being part of our show and sharing your experience with us.
Of course. Thank you for having me.
We wish you the best for the rest of your project and next year at school.
Thank you.